3, 2, 1. Don't see anything. There we go. Hey, y'all. I have full bars, full connection. Perfect. Hey, y'all. Welcome, everybody. I am Joseph Tittel, aka Spiritman JT, bringer of love, light, truth, predictions, and prophecy. And I welcome you all so much for being here. Remember, you are also here, and you too are a bringer of love, light, and truth, simply by passing on the information and helping people to awaken. So be sure to subscribe down below. Be sure to hit the bell, hit the all. Check out all the links down below. There's links for the articles that I'm going to talk about in a little bit. There's links to all my social media platforms and links to my Awaken Your Spirit Subscribe Star support community. I love all of you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for subscribing. Thank you for hanging out. If you're hanging out with me live, thanks for the chat cash that comes through and so forth. So today I'm going to be talking to you about FEMA camps and just FEMA in general and a couple of articles that have come out. But before I go into this subject, and before I talk to you about this, this plan that they have, I wanted to remind you that predictions and prophecy and truth, of course, are not here to bring fear, but they're here to bring awareness and preparedness, to help you to prepare, to help awaken the people to the truth and for truth. And for the truth is that which will set us all free from the darkness and the enslavement and the future plan of the dark Illuminati or whatever you want to call them. And that is what the whole point of all of this is. This particular video is more about truth and more about what you see here about FEMA camps. I have a few articles that I want to share with you, a few things I'm going to share with you that I think is important for people to know. I urge you to do your own research and all things, of course. Don't take all my word for it when it comes to putting out truth. Of course, predictions and prophecies are a different end of the ball game. But for now, I'm going to leave the following information to you. And again, I urge you to do your own research before determining whether this is actually conspiracy theory or actual future reality. Because most of it's future reality and things that I talked about a long time ago. Going back to 2010, 2011, especially. I remember that particular year. And that 11 is going to, multiply what happened that year, next year in 2022 with that 22. And then this became a big subject in 2016, 2017 about martial law. This was in predictions that I made going back to 2009. And then people started to talk a lot about these camps, these FEMA places. And there's a map right there, folks. Excuse me. And that is apparently all these camps all over the United States. And let me show you an article. And this is a recent article, actually. Two things really important, because I'm going to show you something put out on the CDC website that's important for everybody to be aware of. It's on the CDC website. You should be aware of it, right? And this particular article with a complete list of FEMA camps. There's actually a FEMA camp. A lot of people don't know, I believe outside of Anchorage, Alaska, that holds up to 2 million people. First of all, why would you need that? And all of these camps are located in places where they're close to railroad systems, nearby airports, access roads, and so forth, for, of course, getting people into them for their emergency plan. Which, check out, this is the article, actually. The link to the article is down below in the description. But this is what I found interesting about this particular article, which was just put out actually on August 3rd, August 5th. But these executive orders are things that people aren't aware of, and the actual power that FEMA actually has to completely suspend the Constitution and our Bill of Rights. They have so much power that in Executive Order 10990, it allows the government to take over all modes of transportation and control of highways and seaports. Executive Order 10995 allows the government to seize and control the communication media. And order number 10997 allows the government to take over all electrical power, gas, petroleum fuels, and minerals. This executive order also allows the government to seize all means of transportation, including your own personal car, truck, or vehicle, or any kind of total control over highways, seaports, and waterways. And 10999 allows the government to take over all food resources in farms. And I'm going to tell you a little bit about preparing again, as I've been urging you to do for years, but especially since beginning of last year, when I told you before we went on global house arrest. So preparedness is important. Going down this executive order list, look, designates the Postmaster General to operate a national registration of all persons. This executive order allows the government to take over all airports, aircraft, including commercial aircraft. Allows the Housing and Finance Authority to relocate communities, build new housing with public funds, designate areas to be abandoned, and establish new locations for populations. That one right there should be scary to everybody. That one right there. I mean, think about that. Think about that and read that. Executive Order 11005 allows the government to take over the railroads, waterways, and so forth, which we already got in an earlier executive order. Look at this particular one. 11310 grants authority to the Department of Justice to enforce the plan to set out executive orders to institute industrial support, to establish judicial and legislative legions to control all aliens, which means all people, all humans, to operate penal and correctional institutions, and to advise and assist the president. Interesting, right? Let's see. Assigns emergency preparedness function to federal departments and agencies, consolidating, blah, blah, blah. This article, again, is down below. You should check it out. You should read it, do a little bit more research. Again, I've talked about this years ago. We talked about this. People thought martial law was happening back in the Obama time, which I told you back at that time that wasn't going to happen. But it is part of their plan. It is in those Illuminati cards that I pointed out to you, that I've talked about, which I will do future videos focused on that and showing you where the future lies. It's all the more reason to subscribe down below. But this is the article that I really wanted to show you that was shared to me. I believe, I forget who shared this to me. Maybe Scotty, somebody shared this to me. Actually, no, it was somebody on my Facebook page that shared this particular article. And it's not an article. It's actually right straight from the CDC website. And that's why this is kind of alarming and kind of goes back and validates predictions I made. Predictions and things that we've talked about, and even, things that have been called conspiracy theory. But again, you be the judge. This is their website. The link's down below. Again, internment operational considerations for implementing the shielding approach to prevent infections in humanitarian settings. This document presents from the perspective of the U.S. Centers of Disease Control and Prevention for implementing the shielding approach in humanitarian settings as outlined in guidance, focused on camps, displaced populations, and low resource settings. This approach has never been documented and has raised questions and concerns, blah, blah, blah. What is the shielding approach? I call it the shedding approach when you read this. The great culling, as they say, what they're doing to elderly people. Again, conspiracy or real, that's up to you. The shedding approach aims to reduce the number of cases by limiting contact between individuals, higher risk disease, and general population. But as we move down further, current evidence indicates that older adults and people of any age have serious underlying medical conditions are at higher risk of illness. In most humanitarian settings, older population groups make up a small percentage of the total population. For this reason, the shedding approach suggests physically separating high-risk individuals from the general population to prioritize the use of limited available resources, food, water, everything we just talked about, and avoid implementing long-term contaminant measures among the general population. Again, this should concern people. In theory, shielding or shedding may serve as an objective to protect high-risk populations from disease and death. However, implementation of the approach of necessities strict adherence to protocol. The green zone may result in rapid transmission amongst vulnerable populations the approach is trying to protect. Is that what they're really trying to do here? Again, all that's down below, so be sure to check that out. There's also down below a video. This particular video here which I watched a while back. This has been out for over a year, of a former FEMA employee talking. Again, truth, you be the judge, completely up to you. And then the last article I wanted to show you that was important was this. And this just came out yesterday, about the FCC and FEMA to conduct nationwide emergency alert tests on Wednesday. Now, I didn't get that yesterday. I didn't see that come through on my phone. So please, if you did, yesterday, Wednesday, the 11th, comment down below. I found it very interesting that they wanted to implement this on the 11th day. You are aware, if you follow me long enough, about the number 11, 22, 29, and so forth. Also, while I'm here, I wanted to mention tomorrow is Friday the 13th. And that's been jumping out at me since I realized yesterday morning that it's Friday the 13th. And they love to do false flag events on Fridays the 13th. So I'm putting that out now before Friday the 13th gets here for those of you. But check out this article. Again, they did this emergency alert test will be conducted. Again, the article is down below. Federal Emergency Management Agency, in coordination with the Federal Communications Commission, will begin this at 2:20 p.m. I didn't get that. ET time. ET time. The purpose of this is to ensure that the systems continue to be effective means of warning for the public about emergencies, particularly those on a national level. A FEMA press release said periodic testing of public alert, and that's right here, systems helps us access operational readiness of alerting infrastructure and to identity any needed technology and administration improvements. Speaking of infrastructure, are you aware of the infrastructure bill that your president in the United States is trying to put forward? That's going to make it mandatory that all new cars have a system in it that can test you for alcohol and drugs before you can turn your car on. And those who have cars, when they implement this, that don't have that feature are obligated to purchase it and put it in their vehicle. Tell me that's not a big tech setup. Tell me big tech isn't running this country along with the billionaires. That's important. This is why I bring this information to you folks. They have a plan and things are going to get more challenging. And I bring this to you to tell you to do your own research, but not to be fearful of it, but be in preparation of it. I learned, and I've been preparing and prepping for a while now, started last year, but we had to utilize that during house arrest. And I've been going to the grocery store and I always pick up a couple extra things and I've been stashing them away. Eventually I'm going to have to put them in crates and stash them even and put them in a safe place. Because again, we should already be aware as to what happened last year and what's happening still in many countries, that you're going to be very restricted as to what you can get. I told you about the food shortages and it's happening. One of the things that somebody sent me, that was Scotty on Subscribestar. Thank you for sending me the article on a prediction that I made this year, that there would be major recalls and contaminations of chicken, beef, and pork. And that was going to be an attempt to them by them to get us and steer us away from those things. Again, one of their mechanisms of control as well. But also a way that they need to clean up the way they slaughter animals and that disgrace of an energy as is. So lots of things are happening with this. That's why you have to prepare. So one of the things I learned this week, because I have a creek with spring water not far from my house that I can without water, but without electric you don't have water. I learned that even though I have a well and a pump, that just fried this week, so there's no water. Luckily there's power, but when there's no power there's no water. So what do? You should store water, big bottles of water, not little bottles of water, big bottles of water, unless you have a place to access water, as I do, luckily. So little by little preparing, you'll be glad you did when the time comes over the next few years, because this is just a little glimpse of what's ahead. So until the next time, again, to be aware of what's happening, be aware of what's going on, be sure to subscribe below. Oh, there, one more thing. Oh, I forgot about this one. This one's important. And this is a thanks to Cephas and Subscribestar community for sharing with me that he was searching for on one of the websites for jobs and just happened to notice. And I've heard this before. Earlier this year, since the new president came in the United States, that they started doing major hiring for not just FEMA, but for Homeland Security, CIA. But he noticed all these listings that were specifically under, the 2020 bug emergency response. So the, the COV emergency response team or whatever, and counted over 1,000 job openings on that website. That's just that website. Why are they doing major hiring for FEMA? What are they getting ready for? What are they preparing to do? The only thing we can do is step into our power, stay strong, stay prepared, and resist to that which you feel wholeheartedly is not right. It's important, and it's important that we stick together. It's important that we come together, and it's important that we awaken and help awaken those who are not awakened, because we will continue to awaken no matter how awake you may think you are. Nothing, you have seen nothing yet. So until the next time, Spiritman JT here, signing off. Remember to celebrate life, celebrate you and the amazing you that you are each and every day. Celebrate the amazing flow of miracles, blessings, abundance, joy, and happiness in your life each and every day. The more you do, the more you get. The more you bitch and complain, the more the universe will give you to bitch and complain about. So why do it? Thank you again for your love, your support. Thank you for subscribing below. I'll be back again in a few days. I got an upcoming top weather prediction video update coming up next week. I am working on a piece on time travel and some truth about that. So interesting things. All the more reasons to subscribe below. So with love and light to you all, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, evening, morning, or wherever you may be in the world.